And the Russians just keep on coming to Montreal. First, it was Demidov, then it was Zhuravsky, then it was Gleb Pugachev, and now it's Alexei Vlasov. I'm not gonna lie, this isn't like the biggest deal in the world. Really, seeing players come over to Montreal in this way is not usually important enough to warrant a video, but we're talking about Alexei Vlasov today out of the Victoriaville Tigres, because the QMJHL forward has just been invited to Montreal Canadiens rookie camp. Again, like, hey, a guy got invited to rookie camp. Is that a big enough deal to talk about in a video? No, not usually. But Alexei Vlasov is an interesting name because this is a guy who was actually eligible for the most recent NHL Entry Draft, but he went undrafted. February 2, 2008, 18 years old out of Chelyabinsk in Russia. But he's 5'9", 179, a right-handed left winger. Now, 5'9", it ain't that big for NHL prospects. I'm one to talk because I'm 5'3" myself, personally. I've mentioned that for years. Unfortunately, I have not grown. But for Alexei Vlasov over here, this is a guy who had developed mostly in the Russian junior leagues for Yunost Yekaterinburg before coming over to New Jersey and playing for the Sioux Falls Stampede as I believe he was a 16-year-old in 2024-2025. This previous season, though, for Victoriaville in the QMJHL, Alexei Vlasov absolutely exploded onto the scene. 80 points in 64 games played, including 44 goals, as a rookie in the QMJHL, and a guy who was 17 for the majority of the season. He ended up making the QMJHL's all-rookie team, and then he posted up a point per game, 4 points in 4 games versus the Blainville-Boisbriand-Armana, where, unfortunately, Victoriaville lost all the games. Now, Vlasov will be heading over to the University of Connecticut, and Elite Prospect says right now that'll start in 27-28. I'm not sure if that's going to start earlier. Who knows if he spends another year in Victoriaville. But Alexei Vlasov is coming over to Canadiens camp. And unfortunately, that does not mean he is a Canadiens prospect via contract. He will still be eligible to be drafted later on. But when you look at the profile here for a guy that exploded onto the scene and was able to be one of the top point producers, this obviously is a really good sign that Montreal is prioritizing development and they're finding ways to get guys that bring value in a variety of ways. Okay, sure, Vlasov, it's not like he was the absolute top of the top for draft eligibles or guys that would inevitably be taken, but he was 10th overall in the league's scoring race. That's pretty good. Tommy Blale is a guy that actually did get drafted this most recent campaign. He was a 31st overall pick, and he had more points as a defenseman. So I guess that just kind of illustrates where the QMJHL is point production-wise. But speaking about Alexei Vlasov, this gives us a great opportunity to look at his profile on the Elite Prospect Scouting Guide. They have him listed as a sniper and a C-grade prospect, a goal-scoring winger who doesn't need a good pass to find twine, and a guy who brings some surprising physicality. His development will hinge on his skating. His skating, by the way, is the lowest grade that he had been given at a 4 out of 10 ranking. Shooting 6 out of 10. That's really good for a guy who went undrafted. Passing 4.5, puck handling 5, hockey sense 5.5, and his physical, it's actually higher than his skating at a 4.5. If you go out there and read more about Vlasov, he tore up the QMJHL in his first taste of the league, scoring all of these goals whilst playing with Igor Shilov. Despite his diminutive frame, we have a soft spot for Vlasov's contagious energy and consistent scoring efforts, a stark contrast with a lot of his peers in Victoriaville. Constantly threatening from mid-range with his high-end release, Vlasov doesn't need a clean pass or a reception to thread the needle and beat opposing netminders. He can contort his upper body to shoot while his toes face away from the net and generate a ton of mechanical power and accuracy on his wrist shot. A devastating half-wall one-timer makes him a constant factor on the power play, and he had scored his fair share of gritty goals too, crashing the crease directly off of entries and pouncing on blue paint rebounds. Vlasov boasts impressive sturdiness for his size, catching defensemen off guard with well-timed reverse hits on puck retrievals in the corner, and he also wields some advanced contact strategies, attacking through opponents' hands to seal their routes to pucks before securing them. As he develops, Vlasov's skating will need to take a major step. While his straight-line pace and energy keep him engaged in transition for now, he lacks proper stride depth and quickness off the jump, causing him to offload rush plays and reposition. When he tries to lead the rush, he often ends up being forced wide and gets sealed off the puck along the wall with too much ease. Vlasov's creativity as both a passer and a puck handler will need to become more consistent. He has moments where he dangles through layers, manipulates defenders, and connects across his heels with teammates in blind spots, but those flashes are rare. Improvements to his skating mechanics could allow these flashes to become more frequent once he learns to receive more pucks in full stride and drive inside on defenders with added quickness. The EP guide says that Vlasov is a long-term project with upside, and if you give him the right development, this guy could potentially be a likely NHL player. His lack of size and skating flaws may keep him off of most NHL teams' draft lists, but there is hope amongst elite prospect staff that the right organization will see the third-line scoring upside in his game and pick him earlier than expected. Now, unfortunately, he didn't get picked at all, but now he's coming over to Montreal to take part in rookie camp, and who knows, if he ends up showing off well, maybe he brings himself all the way back up to the top of the Canadiens' draft list for 2027. This is a guy who has a chance to go a little bit earlier if he shows off very, very well. He will be an overager and probably still small at next year's draft, but depending on what he does, there could be a big opportunity for him to rise up as the overage prospect of the year next season. You look at some of the tracked data, he was a 71 overall player with 62 overall offense, 76 overall transition, and 50 overall defense. And there are a number of scouting reports as well. I mean, he's hard to contain in certain games, yada yada yada, despite the feet and height combination being a far cry from NHL coveted skills. It's hard not to cheer for Vlasov's combination of sturdiness, contact skills, scoring touch, and habits. He could beat the odds as a rare undersized bottom six checking scorer. You want to talk about undersized checking scorers, eh? For whatever reason, my mind is thinking about Brendan Gallagher, but I guess that's a conversation from years ago. Either way, Alexei Vlasov is a new Montreal Canadien at rookie camp. Who knows if this is going to result in him actually having a longer-term future with the team? There still will need to be a draft pick or two made to get that to go down. But with all that said, you can let me know your thoughts in the comments section. This is an undrafted, top-scoring QMJHL Russian winger who is coming over to Montreal for prospect camp. How do you feel about Alexei Vlasov and his game? If you're from Victoriaville and you paid attention to the Q this season, let us know in the comments. How has Vlasov played and what do you expect out of him heading into next season? I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.